give me light. No, it's like, let's do some serious searching. Let's do some really hard looking at what are real fears, what are false fears. And most of us live in false fear based on that lack of trust because we're not convicted of that love yet. We don't want to see the pains and hurts of the past, and then we have all these other what-ifs that are there running around. And then, of course, in the darkness is also our sinfulness, our attachments, that the Lord sheds his light on to us to realize that we got to let go of these things and see that. So enlighten the darkness of my heart. That's the first part of that prayer. We really need to pray in honesty. If we're going to do the will of God, we need the light of Christ to enlighten our hearts. Just as another example, going back to the old baggage stuff, of making decisions out of old baggage. In doing some marriage counseling, you really run into this a lot. I was in the middle of a fight between a husband and wife in a marriage counseling situation. And she was screaming about how he doesn't do any help. He comes home from work, throws his stuff down, doesn't help with the kids, blah, 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 the usual fight. And he's saying, I'm tired, I work a hard job, I come home, I just want to relax, I want to read the paper, I don't want to get into all this other stuff, I'm exhausted, and blah, 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 and the fight's going on. I'm listening carefully, and finally I said, whoa. What is it? I said to her. He doesn't help. No. What is it really? What is it really? She breaks into tears and talks about how her mother would come home high as a kite, stoned from drugs, walk right past her when she was a kid, day after day, never say hello, never pick her up, never tell her she loves her. And she looked at her husband and said, I just need you to come home, give me a kiss, and tell me you love me. He's like, that's what this is about? She's like, yes, this is what it's about. You know? Underneath all of that was this pain that she was experiencing, veiled under this other stuff that was real too. He did need to help out more. However, there was a deeper pain that was ruling the marriage and destroying the relationship. And oftentimes that's going on with our relationship with God. We got stuff underneath. We need the light of God to enlighten, to free us. So enlighten the darkness of my heart. Then St. Francis asked for 3 particular gifts: faith, hope, and charity. But not just any faith. He asked for right faith. Right faith. Now that's really important, to ask for right faith. Lord, just don't give me faith. Give me the right faith. The right faith. Because we can get lost in false things, false beliefs. We can get lost in thinking about God as like this, or he's like that, or this. You get lost in it. So give me right faith. And then he asked for certain hope. Not just hope. He didn't just want wishing, cross my fingers and wish that this is going to happen. Wouldn't it be nice, Lord, if you did something? I'm going to wish that you would. Oftentimes I think we look at the virtue of hope as in like we're wishing for a bicycle for Christmas. We're wishing as opposed to hoping. Hope and wishing are 2 different things. Hope is the certain trust in God's promises. That what God promises, God will fulfill. So if I have that hope in the love of God for me, I know that he will not abandon me. He will not leave me alone. He will carry me through. He will see to my needs. He will provide for me. I have that hope. Why? Because he said it. In my desire to live after the manner of St. Francis, according to the early rule, in wanting to live without money, without cars, without bank accounts, to live in that freedom of Francis, I was told throughout my formation years, you can't do that anymore. You can't do it anymore. Why? Things have changed. What's changed? Well, you need that stuff. Really? Has God changed? Does he no longer care about us? He only cared about us up to like the 16th century, then he said, you're on your own now? Like, he hasn't stopped caring for the birds or the fields, like he said. Every hair that falls from my head, he still knows. I'm still more important than a flock of sparrows. Is the gospel no longer true? Has God all of a sudden withdrawn his promises? Can I no longer hope that God is going to fulfill his promises and take care of me if I throw myself in his arms? Is he really going to let me fall to the ground if I jump towards him? Really? It's like we have this image of God, like it's used the image of God of like a little kid like jumping into his father's arms and the father going, huh, and the kid going poof, right on the floor. Of course the father's going to catch the kid. Like, has God really changed? No, he hasn't. That's what St. Francis was saying in the 13th century. He hasn't changed. He's still the God who walked this earth. He's still the God who cares. He's still the God who we can trust in. And he asked for that certain hope. Lord, give me certain hope to know that what you've said is true, to hope in that, to trust so confidently in that I can take you at your word. Let me take you at your word. I can trust you? Yes. Here I go. It's easy to get distracted, isn't it? Look at Peter, the boat. He sees our Lord walking on the water. If it's really you, Lord, let me come out to you. Come out, Peter. I didn't mean that. Like, walk on the water? Okay. He's walking on the water towards our Lord. He has that hope in our Lord that he can actually do this and the faith in our Lord. And then he gets distracted by the wind. He got distracted by the wind. All right? Then the Lord grabs him. Why did you falter, Peter? He's like an arm reach away from our Lord. The Lord reaches out and grabs him. He's really close when he gets distracted. Why did you falter? Why did I falter? I was walking on water. Why did I falter? Maybe you do this all the time. I don't know. But my first time as a fisherman walking on water. I'm sorry if I got a little distracted by the wind. I always feel bad for Peter. I always think there's like, I got this sarcasm, New York sarcasm going on in my mind in the middle of everything. But truly, it's like, we get distracted. God hasn't changed. He's still trustworthy. So we need to pray for that certain hope, the true faith, the certain hope that God is who he says he is. And God will do what he said he will do. Like the rich young man. After that, a little event, Peter says, Lord, we've given up everything to follow you. What's in it for us? The Lord tells him, no one's given up lands or houses or families that will not receive 100 times more now in life to come. All right, I'm hoping in that. I'm hoping that that's true. Not hoping as in wishing. I'm going to live my life and give my life because I hope in that. The early Christians did not give their life wishing that they're going to get to heaven from it. They gave their lives hoping, knowing for certain that in the gift of their lives, they will receive the glory of the kingdom of heaven. Many of you may have seen the movie For Greater Glory, Blessed Jose Luis. Beautiful. I wish they would have kept in the movie one of the lines that he said being brought to his death. As he's walking to his death, he said, never has heaven been so easily achieved. Never has heaven been so easily achieved. That's hope. That's hope. He knew that he just wasn't walking to his grave. He was going home to heaven. He knew that. He hoped in that. It was hope that allowed him to look at his mother and say, I love you. Viva Cristo Rey. And he was killed. Certain hope. Why was Francis so free to live the life he lived? Because the Lord gave him that gift. He asked and received it. And didn't get distracted by the wind. The false things of this world. He had that light shining in his heart. Everything was clear. Everything was in the open. The Lord gave him faith. And the Lord gave him that certain hope. And then he asked for perfect charity. Right faith, certain hope, perfect charity. Perfect charity. Charity is more than just, paying our 10% tithes. Giving our time, our treasure, and our talents. Those are good things. Those are charitable things. Spiritual and corporal works of mercy are good things. But that's not what he was asking for. Give me perfect charity. In other words, give me the perfection of love. What is love? We oftentimes hear the phrase, I'm sure you've heard it perhaps back in the days of marriage encounter or marriage prep or marriage counseling or something, where people say love is 50-50. No, it ain't. Anybody who gives themselves 50% is only given 50%. There's another 50% to give. Love is that 100% self-gift, that total gift of self, holding back nothing for oneself or of oneself. I was once preaching this, and a deacon said to me, "Father, you're right, it's true, but sometimes I only can give 70%. Then my wife gives 130. And how true. She was making up what was lacking in him. She was making up for what was lacking in him. And that's what God's love does for us, doesn't he? He wanted that perfection of charity. He wanted to give himself 100%. He wanted to love with the fullness of his being. He knew the brokenness and the hurt and the struggles and the attachments and all the stuff that was stopping him, the selfishness, the self-centeredness that was stopping him from being 100% self-gift. So he's like, Lord, give me perfect charity. Free me, break me, release me. Let me be able to truly love 100%. Let me love you as you have loved me. Let me fulfill that gospel command. Let me love as you have loved me. Let me be merciful as you have been merciful to me. Let me forgive as you have forgiven me. Let me be all that you are to me. Let me be that back to you and to everyone I meet. Perfect charity within me. Perfect charity. The twofold commandment, love of God and love of neighbor. Love the Lord your God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Looking at his heart, or are we looking at our own hearts? Am I holding back? In my will, my heart, my soul, and my strength? Am I giving it all my strength? Am I giving it my all? Am I kind of like going, yeah, I'll give some in? Am I really giving it my all? Am I fighting this fight with the full energy of what I got in me? Or am I going in half-hearted? Am I giving my full heart or half my heart? Am I giving my full will or only part of my will? Am I giving my part of my soul or my whole soul? Is my whole soul in possession of charity and love, the God of love? Does he have full possession of my heart and my soul and my will? And am I truly loving my neighbor? That second commandment. I think about Our Lady's yes. Her fiat mihi. Why did she say that yes? Why did she say that yes for God to become man? She knew the prophecies. She knew that the sufferings that this entailed. She knew Isaiah chapter 7. She knew that he would be rejected, scorned, scourged, beaten like a lamb led to the slaughter, assigned a grave among the dead. She knew what was to come when she said that yes. She knew what it meant. It was her perfect love of God and her perfect love for us. Her perfect love for us that she said yes and gave God that permission to become man. Because she loved us so much, she said that fiat mihi, that yes, and allowed God to break the heavens and come down to us and give him to us. See her fiat on the cross too, as she beheld him dying on that cross, to give him over for us. Her willingness to suffer for love of us, that perfection of charity. She hasn't even stopped loving us. She goes on loving us. In the glory of the kingdom of heaven, from that place in heaven, she intercedes for us too, still. Do we have that love of neighbor formed within our hearts? Or are we holding back there too? Are we showing the mercy that's been shown us? The kindness, the generosity, the goodness, and so forth? Moses got in trouble for that. I felt bad for Moses. Here he gets 40 years in the desert. They're at the edge of the Holy Land. They want water. They're complaining again. Yada, yada, yada. They got this rock that's following them everywhere. Do you know the rock was following them? That'd be pretty freaky. You walk into the desert like, little rock. This rock that gives them water. Moses is told by God. God's not upset. God's not angry. God's not, he's not ticked at them this time. He knows they're thirsty. So he tells Moses, tell the rock to give water. Goes over to the rock. He gets mad because they're complaining again. He takes his stick and he strikes the rock. God's like, why'd you strike it? I didn't tell you to strike it. I told you to speak to it. You didn't have to strike it. You lost patience. I've been so patient and you didn't reflect my patience. You didn't reflect my mercy. I wanted to give them water. You didn't have to get mad at them. And for that, Moses can't go to the Holy Land. He can't go in because he lost he didn't reflect the patience. Now, again, he had a heavier responsibility considering the fact that he talked to God face to face, like one man talks to another. So, the responsibility is a little bit heavier on Moses.